The IDF will receive an order to launch a full-scale, high-intensity offensive against the Palestinian terror group in the Gaza Strip. Last night, U.S. President Donald Trump met with a group of 8 Israeli survivors of Hamas captivity at the White House, during the course of which the released hostages thanked President Trump for his unceasing efforts and urged him to persevere in hopes that all of the remaining hostages will be returned to Israel.
Were you all taken on October 6th? Yes. So this was hell, huh?
It was the worst thing that anybody can go through. One of the days they handcuffed one of the boys that was with us, and when he came, and he brought a cutter, and he cut his hand and smiled. They used to eat in front of us while they starved us.
It's a miracle.
That you're living.
Yes.
I was kidnapped on 7 October. My wife and my 2 daughters been murdered on the same day. I was held in captivity 491 days. I've been suffered there from starvation, violence, and humiliations daily. One time they broke in my ribs and I was so hurt that I couldn't breathe for 1 month. Thanks to President Trump, I'm a free man. I can hug my mother again. I can hug my brothers and sisters.
Following their meeting at the White House, U.S. President Donald Trump released a statement on his Truth Social account in which he leveled a clear threat to the Islamist Hamas, which read, "Shalom Hamas," means hello and goodbye. You can choose. Release all of the hostages now, not later, and immediately return all of the dead bodies of the people you murdered, or it is over for you. President Trump went on to underscore, "I am sending Israel everything it needs to finish the job. Not a single Hamas member will be safe if you don't do as I say." In an interview to Fox News channel Hannity, Secretary of State Marco Rubio responded to a question on the president's unequivocal threat.
Well, hopefully that they're going to do exactly what he just said. You know how long we've been waiting for a long time in this country to have the kind of leadership with that kind of clarity. People don't realize the president meets with these people. He hears their stories. He's outraged, and rightfully so. He's tired of watching these videos every weekend where hostages that are emaciated are released and bodies are turned over, and sometimes it's the wrong bodies, and this 5 here and 3 there, and these games that are being played. And he's lost his patience with it. He's been very clear about this from the beginning. He's created space and time for this to be solved. And now it's time for seeing it come to an end.
It is important to point out that in recent weeks, the United States has been negotiating with the Islamist Hamas terror group directly.
If the U.S. has a long-standing policy that we do not negotiate with terrorists, then why is the U.S. now negotiating directly and for the first time ever with Hamas?
Well, when it comes to the negotiations that you're referring to, first of all, the special envoy who's engaged in those negotiations does have the authority to talk to anyone. Israel was consulted on this matter. And look, dialogue and talking to people around the world to do what's in the best interest of the American people is something that the president has proven is what he believes is good faith effort to do what's right for the American people.
We feel that Hamas has not been forthright with us, and it's time for them to be forthright with us. And Eden Alexander would be a very important show. And so we'll see how they're going to react. The president has issued a statement about what's acceptable to him and what's not. Hopefully we'll see some good conduct next week, and I'll be able to go in there and have discussions.
So is the three-phase kind of agreement framework still in place, or did the president's social kind of come in that?
Well, I would say that the president basically was saying, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I think it's fairly clear he was saying, I've had enough. Like, there's a lot of mistreatment. There's a lot of conversation among these hostages about the deprivation that they went through, about murders that they saw. And I think that the president listened to it, absorbed it, and said, it's unacceptable. I'm not going to tolerate this type of behavior.
So what does that mean for phase 2 negotiations?
I don't think I don't think, as the president has said before, I don't think you alert everybody how you're going to negotiate or what your reaction's going to be. But I wouldn't test President Trump.
Steve, what is the bottom line? What happens when, and what's the bottom line for President Trump, and what happens? Does the U.S. authorize someone to take action, or does the U.S. take action?
Well, I think it's unclear exactly what's going to happen. I think there's going to be some action taken. It could be jointly with the Israelis. It's unclear right now, but I think Hamas has an opportunity to act reasonably, to do what's right, and then to walk out. They're not going to be a part of a government there. Everybody understands that, and that is implicit in the May 27th protocol agreement pursuant to which these negotiations are happening. So I think they have to understand that, and if they understand that, then they get a path to leave.
Including military action?
I don't.
A lot of hostages' families in Israel are concerned that if the focus changes to only American hostages, that will leave Israeli hostages, non-Americans behind. What can you say to them? And also, regarding the negotiations, with going back to military options in Gaza, is that something that is on the table, even though it can put hostages at risk?
So I would say to you, Yuna, that yesterday there were 2 American hostages in the room and there were 7 other Israelis. So lives matter to the Trump administration. All lives matter to him. And he was focused on all lives. So
when is just a question. The negotiations with Hamas, exactly how long have they been ongoing? Have you spoken with Hamas about any other concept of destruction of Gaza? And finally, with Ukraine, is the president satisfied with the outreach that he made from President Zelensky?
So I have not met with Hamas. But my understanding is that any discussions with Hamas have been recent. Not 3 weeks has been reported, but a couple of days, and that's well within the ambit of the special envoy. In fact, that's his job. His job is to get these people home. We help in that effort, so I commend him for doing that. Adam cares about lives, as everybody should be, and the hostage families are, I think, grateful for it, and so is President Trump.
You said there was a framework on Tuesday for Ukraine. Will the minerals deal be signed then on Tuesday?
Well, I think Zelensky has offered to sign it, and we'll see if he follows through.
Steve, can I follow up? Negotiate with directly. Mr. Witkoff, can I ask about yesterday the hostages came and they met President Trump. President Trump yesterday posted writing Shalom Hamas, hello and goodbye. And what does it mean exactly? And can you tell us, how did you feel yesterday with the hostages at the Oval Office? It was such an amazing meeting. He heard their stories. You really asked them to tell their stories. And can you tell us if you think that you'd like to go through with the second phase of the deal?
I think he felt the awesome responsibility of this office. And I think he listened to 9 human beings who had been held in captivity in some really difficult circumstances say to him, thank God for you. Thank God for your election. Thank God, because each and every one of them, to a person, not scripted, said, but for him, they would not be there today. And they were grateful for their families. And in the Jewish religion, save a life, you save 1,000 lives. The president was there listening to 9 people say that each of them view their lives as being saved by him. They talked about how they heard about his election, and they were uplifted. They were in these dark, dank caverns, 200 feet below the surface of the earth, never having any hope. And when they heard he was elected, They were ebullient. They had never felt like they were elated, waiting for him, because they knew he was going to help them get rescued. So it was a really emotional experience for him and for me and everybody who was in that Oval Office yesterday. Caroline was there too, and you can ask her. It was deeply moving yesterday.
Will there be a phase two? Will there be a phase two?
What about the phase 2 of the deal?
If you're unsure or unaware of your eyeglass prescription, or if your prescription changes frequently due to nearsightedness